Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Libra. If Libra is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so Libra, our card tonight is the Four of Wands, which has everything to do with completion. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what are these tea leaves going to be telling us tonight. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to hit the like button or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you, especially if you're new to the channel. Definitely shout that out in the comment section. All right, so I do feel like there is a separation here. Not necessarily with a spouse, but we see one person going this way, right? And we see another person kind of frolicking in the other direction. Now, we do also have some other people up here. And so I feel like they're probably at some point in all of the histories of your family, there maybe was a conflict. No, I'm joking, but of course, and the joke is, of course, there's always conflicts in families. But I do feel like in the past there was something, it felt very devastating. I think that something probably came to light that really fractured the family. And I feel that there was kind of a choosing of sides, but there was also kind of deciding to just disengage in general with most of the family. And I can see, and I feel like this is you, headed out, right? Not interested in going into the past, which this side over here, the left side, the past. This side, the future. Okay, so I feel that, yeah, you maybe were the one that, like, you picked up, you went off to school, you met somebody, you started a family, and you never came home, right? You live on the other side of the country or, on a different continent or, whatever it is. And maybe as you've gotten older, you have kind of found a bond, a kinship within parts of your family. I believe that you have probably created your own family, your chosen family. It doesn't have to just be people. We're talking about our furry companions and so on. But I feel like, yeah, you have made a good go of it. You have found some happiness in your life. Now, I also feel, though, that these old things, there is heartache still. And we have a heart that it feels a bit fractured. Looking back on, these people of your life and thinking, I don't even know them anymore. They're pretty much strangers to me. And I think that there's a little bit of melancholy there. But I also think that you understand that things happened the way that they had to. Not just the way that they should have, but how they had to. For you to be able to move on and have the life that you wanted, that you needed. Sometimes we do. We just have to let go of these old things. And by things, I mean the people. Maybe the people we grew up with. Maybe the communities that we grew up in. It's amazing how different you can feel if you just sometimes even move to the other side of town, right? Let alone moving, many towns away, moving states away, moving into a whole different kind of, ecosystem. The living on the coast, right, feels very different than living, like where I live in farmland in the upper Midwest. Very different vibes. And, I think that you went out there and you found a place for yourself. And now maybe it is that you've moved around some, and maybe you are still searching. Maybe you haven't found that place that is like, yeah, this is where I'm going to set down roots. Like, here I am, But I do feel that you've been unburdened to some degree. And I feel like the work is still happening, letting go of some of the guilt. I think that's the thing. Maybe even some of the resentment, the hurt. But I think something that, you must keep in mind, and maybe our family doesn't always understand these things, but I think that the people who matter, they understand why you've had to do what you've had to do, why you've had to live the way that you've had to live. That maybe you can care from afar, but you can't be directly involved. I feel like there is an understanding there that maybe you don't recognize. I think that maybe you worry that people are angry with you, or they, think poorly of you because you kind of up and disappeared or whatever. But I think that the reality of this situation is that they understand. And I feel like there's even people within your family that envy that you were able to get up and go, that you were able to kind of begin a new life. And, I think there's a lot of kind of introspection going on here. Now, I also feel, and let's go ahead. We have the house right here. We have the horse, or, well, it looks like a deer kind of. We have a person standing on the back. So we have the spiritual. We also have a tree. We have a little dog. We have a tower. Okay. Now, when we see the tower, we worry, right? Like the tower card. We know that what this means is, when we pull a tower card, there is a problem. There is some kind of, cataclysm happening in our life. Something is falling apart. Something is ending. Now, the tower, outside of the context of the tower card, we can build towers in our life, can't we? Right? We work hard towards something. We build it up. We build it up. We build it up. Our career, our household, our money, our family, our relationships, our whatever it is that is sacred to us. But we must take care with it, right? Now, we can have a tower, but we shouldn't go dwell in that tower. We shouldn't lock ourselves away in it. And surely we should not let it, become the only monolithic thing in our life, so that when something happens and it is set ablaze, that we are left with nothing else, right? And it's about not putting all of our eggs in the same basket, not relying on a singular thing in our life to derive meaning. And this can happen, especially when you've been through the trauma of leaving a family, or, moving away from everything that we've all kind of had these, we've seen the stories, the whole kind of theme of you go out in the world and you live a little bit, and then, you catch a glimpse of that person and they're your soulmate, and you find each other, you have a love affair, you get together, and this is your reason for living, this person, this relationship. And that's all well and good. I mean, it's, you know, romantic. But what happens when something happens to that person? Or what happens when the relationship fails or it goes through some hardship? Everything you have is put into that, and that's not a good thing. You know, it's not a good thing when it all comes crumbling down. So, and then that's not to say that listen, I'm not telling you your relationship's going to fall apart, but I'm using it as an example because I think we are often prone to elevating our romantic relationships and our partnerships to the very tippy top, right? But we need other things. We need meaning in our own efforts, in our work, in our spiritual life, in our communities, in our sense of self. Not our sense of self in relation to somebody else. But we can all fall into that trap. I think a lot of us do, right? I am no stranger to being led by that impulse myself. And I've had to work diligently in my marriage now to not be like that, right? And it's not easy, especially when you have a wonderful husband like mine. Shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My husband Paul over there. Amazing tarot reader. Go check him out if you haven't seen his work yet. But it's important that we have our own things. And I think that this is really, as I see this, such a developed kind of landscape going on here. You've put a lot of yourself into creating this whole life. Not just one particular aspect, but the whole dang thing. And cultivating. And I feel like in some ways, and you might not even realize this about yourself, but you are a miracle because you have broken a cycle of whatever was going on, and you've gone out there into the wilderness by yourself and figured it out. You didn't let it destroy you. You did not succumb to the elements. Now, you've had some hardships, no doubt. You've been through some ordeals, absolutely. Do you struggle still? Yeah. Yeah, of course. You're a human being. Your blood is warm. You're alive. You're going to struggle. You know, we all do. But you have created something for yourself, for your family, for your vision of the world, of how you would like it to be for you and your personal sacred spaces. And that is a miracle. Not everybody survives this kind of difficulty in life. You can think of, just off the top of your head, people who have succumbed to all kinds of distractions and addictions and habitual compulsive behaviors because they are self-medicating, right? But you have not. You have actively worked against it, and that is something to behold. Do not forget the power that you have, especially when you're feeling weary. Now we have the number 6 right up here. I think 6 and a 5, 65. Now, I want to just look at this. Now, I'm using these as clarifying cards. These are from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Now, I want to say that I will clarify maybe you know, what is next? And I think that's really, I'm looking at this image right here. Oops, and that's spilled over. A person sitting in a chair kind of looking upwards. Now we also have a bird, which is a message from the divine. So I want to see, what are we looking at towards this future, you know, I don't know, maybe like month ahead. What is going on in this next time period? And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to flip through. I'm not good at shuffling, so I just kind of do it this way. I'm going to pick 3 of them. We have fulfillment. Ooh, we have coral. Okay. Oops. We have coral and we have submission. Ooh. Goodness gracious. Okay. So I feel like we have some choices here. I feel like it is. This maybe is all hinged on some kind of disagreement or quarrel. And I feel like this is maybe why you're focused on the family so much. The past, right? Something has come up, or maybe it's the anniversary of something, but there is this prominent energy of the conflict, right? Whatever it was, whatever kind of, you know, was the catalyst for all of this kind of distance. This seems very forward in your mind. Now, we also have fulfillment and submission, okay? So I feel like there's really kind of this energy of, do I just kind of, you know, sink back into the ho-hum of it all and just kind of accept it for what it is, and you know, I just kind of submit to these feelings that arise sometimes, and you know, it kind of ends up coloring the way that you see the world around you, how you're experiencing your life? Or do you go towards fulfillment? And I think that really this is harnessing the energies that kind of come up when you feel this discord, right? And it's kind of like it comes up into your chest and you're thinking it's just like a tangled mess of arguments and ill feelings and, you know, what ifs and what were they thinking and how could they do that, and I wish I didn't say that, you know, all those things. And it is a mess, and it's in your chest and it's in your throat, and you can decide, there is the option to take that energy and put it into something that you find meaningful. We call this sublimation, okay? Taking things that are, you know, maybe kind of difficult topics, troubled feelings, you know, whatever it is, and putting it into something useful, something creative, something that is expressive, that is actually maybe even helpful to others. And the example I like to think of is like in music, right? You might hear a song and you think, gosh, that's really violent. There's a lot of violence in this song, a lot of really kind of macabre and morbid themes and energies and tones and whatever. And it really might feel quite confronting, right? But then you think about, like, who wrote this song? Where did this come from? Why would they make this piece of art? And it might just be that this is a person who, yeah, they have kind of these emanations of wanting to act out, you know, aggression and anger and rage. And they could take that to their life, and they can succumb to that feeling and just, you know, go wild, do something that they shouldn't, hurt somebody else. But instead, you take that energy and you put it into this art that you're making, into this music that you're making, into this way that you are expressing yourself and it transmutes that emotion, that energy, that impulse into something that is maybe quite beautiful, something that is maybe, you know, somebody can relate to it. They can hear it and they feel like, hey, somebody else in the world knows how I feel. And I'm not alone in that, you know. And maybe that is healing for them. And maybe that is healing for you. So I feel like putting your, whatever that is, that feeling of conflict, of loss, of guilt, of shame, of anger, of maybe even feeling abandoned to some degree, putting that into something useful for you. Okay. And I think, you know, these are the choices that we have to make constantly in life. I mean, they really are. And I see you focused on figuring out what is the right way for me to go. And I know that you will. I know that you will, Libra. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to take a look here. Now, I feel that there is something that you do in your life that you feel very proud. For me, because I am in recovery for substance abuse, I'm very familiar with like AA, NA, and 12-step. And I almost felt like for a second, and it doesn't have to be that you are in any of these kinds of systems or in recovery or anything like that, but the feeling of somebody who has got some time under their belt and then they get into service and then they become a sponsor and they maybe chair meetings and so on. The pride that comes with that kind of accomplishment, feeling good about yourself, but knowing, you know, you're coming from a place where you have struggled and you might struggle again. But in this moment, you can see very clearly that in this role, I am doing something. I'm doing something meaningful. And I always think of Libra as being somebody who's like a mediator, a counselor, like a social worker, some kind of caretaker, or, you know, something where you're involved with people on a deep level. Not just kind of, you know, in and out little conversation, but you really get into it with people. You go deeper. You talk about things that are, you know, more than just small talk or you know, practical things. And so, you know, I feel like whatever it is that you're doing, maybe it's a volunteer position, maybe this is you as a parent, maybe it's your business or whatever it is, I feel like you have a lot of pride in that area of your life. And I think that's such a wonderful thing. It feels so good. And you should be proud of yourself. Absolutely. Now we also have some lizards. So I'm feeling like this is very much in line with that wand energy. We have fire. So creative energies flowing. Absolutely flowing through your life like a stream of lava. And I do feel like you have to indulge it. Get in there, do some arts and crafts, go journaling. You know, I'm trying to think of things. I was like thinking for a second, go arrange some flowers. Go out there and cut some flowers and make a bouquet. I don't know, maybe that's something you're interested in, but I can see you with a lot of flowers for some reason. And yeah, I think there's also just this impulse towards having beauty around you. So go and indulge that. Okay, we're going to do our gratitude affirmation cards. I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says, Song of Freedom. I am grateful for my personal rights and liberties. for the freedom to soar through life with the wings of my independent thoughts and decisions. Practice. Give thanks for the freedom of choice, speech, action, and the thought you have in this time and age. All right. Okay. Well, Libra, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do. And I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages and have this connection with you. I mean, really, that's what it is. There's a connection here. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps the channel. It's helping the channel grow. The engagement that the algorithm needs. And what else? If you want to subscribe, please go ahead and do that. I don't want you to miss any videos that are coming out, so hit that little bell. Also, it is free to subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment, yes, do it. Do it. Do it. I read them all, and they do mean the world to me. So, yes, and if you're new to the channel, definitely shout it out in the comment section. Other than that, that's it. That's it. I am done. This is my last reading. I hope you all like the new set. I'm trying to get into it. I like the colors. You know, if it was up to me, which it is up to me, I would have it all very dark. But I felt like, yeah, we're getting towards the end of summer here, and I just want to celebrate with some beautiful color and make it a little more light, a little more light, airy, watery. I love the pomegranates. I'm all about that pomegranate life. And I love the motif of the pomegranates. There is a movie. It's called, oh my gosh, I always forget what the actual title is. I'm looking it up because I don't want to say it wrong. The Color of Pomegranates. It's an Armenian movie from the late 60s. It's actually so beautiful. If you're into allegory at all, it is one of the great movies. One of the great and profound esoteric movies that is out there. And yeah. Definitely, I love that motif of the pomegranate. So, anyways, I love you, Libra. I could ramble on for hours. I won't do that to you. I will say good night. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk in a few days here. Bye-bye.